Taste the difference quality makes at the Orchid Restaurant, Franklin Avenue, Garden City.
In the east to Great Neck in the west. News about Long Island for the people of Long Island. 24 hours every day. This is News 12 Long Island. And now, the daytime edition.
The ring is empty, the arena cleared, and the combatants have gone home to either celebrate or lick their wounds. Suffolk County's budget battle is over for this year, with the legislature scoring a knockout victory over County Executive Pat Halpin. The legislature voted 13-5 yesterday to override Halpin's veto of their amendments to his 1990 budget proposal. Now, Halpin's original plan called for a $15 million tax cut for county residents. The legislature decided it could do better, though, so they slashed an additional $26 million. Halpin said there's no way he could cut a total of $41 million without cutting county services, but he could live with $27 million in spending reductions. Well, the legislature could not. They wanted almost all their additional cuts included. And with yesterday's vote, they got what they wanted, cutting about $39 million in the end. The vote came as no surprise, but legislator Sandra Bockerty told News 12 that even though she voted for the override, County Executive Halpin is right when he says it's going to mean cutting county services.
We are in a very difficult time. Once we have these kinds of budgets, when you have an economy that it's on the trail that it seems to be with the fall off in sales tax, it is impossible to maintain essential services and to keep everything going exactly as it was.
Sandra Bockerty says the tax cut will not affect police or crossing guard manpower, both of which Mr. Halpin had suggested, but a number of social service agencies are going to bear the brunt of the cuts in Suffolk.
And now that the dust is settling, it's those social service agencies that have cause for concern. The legislature's victory in the budget fight means that cuts to their budgets are no longer a threat, but an economic reality.
I happen to operate a group home for runaway and homeless youth, and my question will be to the legislators as well as to the taxpayers. Some people will go home for Christmas. Where will our children go when they can't go home?
And if we cannot provide these services to the constituents of Suffolk County, they're going to have to go elsewhere, or social service will have to pick it up, or mental health. So in the long run, it's going to cost more.
County Executive Pat Halpin will be joining us later to talk about what happens next and about which agencies have the most to fear.
We were talking about money on a different front yesterday, too. Long Islanders having a chance to speak out against the proposed fare hike for the Long Island Railroad. But News 12's Don Crawford tells us while the railroad listened politely last night, commuters might as well get ready to dig deeper into their pockets.
It's a rare individual who actually comes out with unbridled enthusiasm for a fare increase. But I think there has been an acceptance that at this point in our 5-year financial plan that a fare increase was due.
Here's what the increases mean to you. Long Island Railroad officials say a monthly ticket from an area such as Hicksville costing $123 a month will cost you $142 a month come January 1st if the increase is accepted by the MTA. And for Suffolk County residents, a ride from an area such as Ronkonkoma will soar from $153 every month to $180 every month. For the year, the schlep into and out of the city via the Long Island Railroad will cost you nearly $2,200.
Basically, it stinks because service has been really bad since June. I think it's really going downhill.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. They're talking about raising the fares, and yet again tonight I'm coming home late.
This was Long Island's chance to speak out about the proposed fare increases, but few people took advantage. Many who did complained about the timing of the meeting, starting at 4 p.m. when most commuters are still at work, and ending at 8:30, just about the time they're staggering off the trains.
We're not talking about a casual matter here. We're talking about the lifeblood of Long Island. These people are going out to New York, coming back, they're paying taxes. Without them, we in Nassau would be enormously disadvantaged.
Don Crawford, News 12, Long Island.
Now, this would be the first Long Island Railroad fare increase in 4 years, and the Metropolitan Transportation Authority votes on the proposed increase on New Year's Day.
The New York Power Authority has agreed to help decommission the Shoreham nuclear power plant. The question now, what to do with it? As Rosemary Gomez reports, the Long Island Power Authority is working on an answer.
The Shoreham nuclear power plant was not designed to be gas-powered, but members of the LIPA board heard pitches from 8 different companies who want to see if the plant can be converted to use natural gas.
There is a good chance that when a careful study has been done and all the issues ironed out, that there is a significant opportunity for a gas conversion to provide the ratepayers of New York power.
Converting a nuclear power plant to natural gas has already been tried in Midland, Michigan, so the idea isn't new, but it is controversial. According to one study, it would cost $400 million more to convert Shoreham than to build a gas-fired plant from the ground up.
But if it makes sense economically, if it's cheaper for ratepayers, then it's something that I think we have to look at very, very carefully.
LIPA board members have voted to consider conservation measures before considering converting the $5.5 billion plant. There's also a question of where the natural gas will come from. LIPA chairman Richard Kessel admits he's heard many proposals and is taking some less seriously than others.
People have made suggestions to turn Shoreham into an ice cream parlor, to turn it into a discotheque, a bowling alley. I don't know that that's what we're going to do, but certainly I think it's feasible to look at the possibility of converting it to a natural gas facility or another non-nuclear use here on Long Island.
Kessel says the board is not looking for a company to convert the plant, only one to see if the idea is even feasible. The board will be considering all of the proposals and could come to a decision within the next couple of weeks. In Hop Hog, I'm Rosemary Gomez, News 12, Long Island.
Well, still ahead on News 12 today, meteorologist Joe Chaffee talks about the true meaning of the word cold in our upcoming Long Island weather forecast. And on the abortion issue, 2 Midwestern states require that a parent be informed if their child plans to have an abortion. Both sides of the issue are squaring off today in the Supreme Court. Long Island, do you think kids should be required to tell their parents that they intend to have an abortion? We asked, and here's what you're saying.
Joe Whittemer from Huntington. As far as the abortion issue, I think that it should be the child's choice, the girl's choice, whether she has it or doesn't have it. You know, I think that we would be creating problems if the children were scared of their parents or afraid to admit to things to them.
Jerry Lenzo from Huntington. Yeah, I'm in favor of that. That they should be able, they should have to tell their parents that they have an abortion. We have a teenage girl living in our house, and I would want her to tell us.
Here's a terrific gift that's just right for every golfer in your family, and just in time for the holidays. It's the amazing new Caddy's golf ball and golf tee dispenser. Caddy's hooks easily and conveniently onto any golf bag or cart, and it stays there. Caddy's is so easy to use. Just touch the lever, and a fresh ball drops into your hand. No more searching for your old waterhole ball or your favorite putting or distance ball. And Caddy's is made in the USA, a virtually indestructible space-age Lexan. Order Caddy's now, and you'll get a dozen high-score long-distance golf balls free, a $13 value. And if you call 1-800-632-4441 within the next 10 minutes, we'll also give you 100 golf tees absolutely free. That's right, you get the Caddy's dispenser, a dozen free high-score golf balls, and 100 free golf tees, all for the great low price of just $19.95. Order Caddy's now for every golfer in your family. It's a great holiday gift idea. Guaranteed delivery before the holidays. Visa and Master credit cards accepted.
The 80s are almost over. Do you remember Long Island's big events and news happenings? Well, News 12's Decade in Review will refresh your memory. You'll see the ups, the downs, the highs, and the lows. News 12's Decade in Review starts Friday, December 1st on Long Island's news channel, News 12 Long Island. Brought to you in part by Marcia's in Huntington Village.
Police are investigating a shooting incident that has left a 21-year-old Comac man dead. Police say the body of Robert Leota Jr. was found behind a discount beverage center on Sunrise Highway near Johnson Avenue in Bohemia yesterday. Leota's body was discovered leaning against an open storage shed behind the store. Police say Leota had been shot several times.
More psychological testimony today in the Richard Angelo murder trial. The defense calling a psychiatrist they contend is nationally known. The doctor there to back up defense claims
that Richard Angelo was in such a poor state of mind in the fall of 1987, he could not possibly have been aware of the dangers of injecting 7 patients with the drug Pavilon. Prosecutor John Collins cross-examined a psychologist yesterday, Jamie Green. Green had testified Monday that Richard Angelo has low self-esteem and difficulty in accepting reality. Angelo's defense lawyer says again Richard Angelo therefore cannot be guilty of murder. But Assistant District Attorney Collins discounted Green's findings, saying Angelo may have given Green some self-serving answers. Angelo charged with 4 murders and 3 assaults. Meanwhile, in a Mineola courtroom, prosecutors are trying to link blood samples to accused killer Robert Gullub. The defense trying to keep the DNA profile evidence out of the murder trial, though. And yesterday, a top official from a DNA testing lab, Life Codes, took the stand again. Dr. Michael Baird testifying, blood on an attaché case found at the murder scene matches Robert Gullub's. Gullub's attorney, Salvador Marinello, charges, though, the blood sample may have been contaminated with Kelly Tinya's blood before it arrived at the DNA lab. The blood samples were first analyzed at the Nassau County Police Lab. Robert Gullub accused of murdering Kelly Tinya's in his Valley Stream home last March.
The high school drug trade has been dealt a severe blow in Suffolk County's East End. Police in Riverhead and Southampton arrested 18 people early yesterday morning as part of a 2-year undercover operation. The suspects allegedly were selling cocaine and crack to high school students. Police say some of the suspects were barely out of high school themselves.
Alleged drug kingpin Howard Pappy Mason won't be showing up in court during his racketeer murder trial, that is. Mason charged, with ordering the execution murder of rookie cop Ed Byrne of Massapequa. Byrne was gunned down last year while guarding the home of a drug witness in Queens. And prosecutors say that Mason ordered the hit from his jail cell. But now Mason's lawyers claim their client, quote, doesn't understand the charges against him, so he will not testify or won't even sit in the courtroom. Howard Pappy Mason will be watching the trial, though, on closed-circuit TV in a nearby holding cell. Earlier this year, 4 members of Mason's alleged drug gang were convicted of carrying out the hit on Officer Byrne.
More than 30 people were rescued safely this morning after the Jones Beach Hotel caught fire on Byron Street near Atlantic Boulevard in Wantagh. The Wantagh Fire Department and 5 other departments responded to the fire around 1 a.m. The fire heavily involved the top floor, which later collapsed onto the 2nd floor. Firefighters say arson isn't being ruled out.
It started from a space heater and extended through the 1st floor to the 2nd floor, all the way to the 3rd floor.
Electric or gas or what?
Electric space heater.
The Red Cross was at the scene assisting the victims. The hotel guests were put up at the Wantagh Fire Department where cots were provided. Only 1 minor injury was reported.
A lot of people have said, even people who work here today, I never knew that Jones Beach had a hotel. Really didn't. It was,
I didn't know either.
In Wantagh, and it was an old hotel that in the mid-70s, it was a fairly well-known college.
Did you say it was a landmark hotel?
It was a landmark hotel. It was very well known. It was like a surfers kind, a Beach Boys kind of a hotel in the 70s.
I don't know.
Yep. Gone with fire now. Cold weather for those poor firefighters overnight. They had one tough night.
And the winds certainly didn't help, although they weren't nearly as strong as the events that we had last week. And still enough, though, to bring the cold air down and to chill things down. Folks, this, I think, at least from my standpoint in terms of memory and in terms of research that I've done over the years, just looking back at weather in general in the Long Island, New York area, I think this is really just about the wildest November I have ever seen, and certainly in the last 20 or 30 years that we've experienced. But the only thing that was missing from the potpourri was a tropical system. I mean, we've had tornadoes, severe thunderstorms, we had a snowstorm, we had record cold, we had a long stretch of record warm weather, along with above normal rainfall, and now here we have it, lo and behold, the missing tropical system. This is a tropical depression that's in the northwestern Caribbean Sea. This late in November, it's rare to see a tropical system, although there have been some in the past. It doesn't happen all that often. This depression is at 20.4 north. That's the center of low pressure, 20.4 north, 85.7 west, or about 270 miles south-southwest of Key West, Florida. Top winds are 35 miles per hour. It could strengthen to a tropical storm later today or tonight, in which case it would be named Tropical Storm Karen, the K-storm. We think that eventually a lot of this moisture will move over southern Florida and give them a good round of rain. this time of year, it would be virtually a conspiracy to get a tropical storm up the East Coast, certainly to survive, because the waters are so cold now and you have strong winds aloft that would probably rip it apart anyway. But this has been so unusual, you know, I don't even want to say that it wouldn't happen, but it won't, I hope. We've got clouds across the south, clouds across the northeast masking the sunshine, certainly putting a lid on the temperatures. Yesterday's cold front has pushed offshore. Now we've got cold high pressure over Missouri that's built on in, and with northerly winds today, with the clouds and cold air advecting from Canada, temperatures are going to go just about nowhere. In fact, we've already seen the highs of the day from earlier this morning. Our weather watchers, these were the highs. Montauk, Noyak, 36, 35 for Hampton Bays. Temperatures all day long across eastern Long Island will be certainly no warmer than this and probably just staying in the low 30s. Center Reach topping out at 35 for Dick Simmons, Steve Tishfield 34. Moving west toward Nassau County, 32 for Lenny the Lawyer in Plainview. On the South Shore, West Babylon, a high of 35, and so for Carol Burnson at Mud Creek. We'll look at some more numbers later in the weekend prospects, but meanwhile, as you take a look at a very artistically pretty day, that is, you have the blue sky and the high cloud cover to give you contrast, which is always important. West and northwest winds at 15 to 25 knots, 3 to 5 foot seas on the ocean, 1 to 3 feet on the sound, with a light chop to the bays, 5 miles visibility, actually pretty choppy bays, 5 miles visibility or better, water near 50, tides are normal. High tides for Jones Beach, Port Jeff, and Montauk Point. And of course, I think the big question on everybody's mind, according to the what's been going on, is what will happen this weekend, as there's been some speculation about maybe another snow event, and we'll talk about that later on.
All right.
We'll speculate.
We will ask you. Thanks a lot, Joe. From Massapequa, some homeowners are fighting to keep their neighborhood strictly residential. News 12's Beverly Cohn reports that one Massapequa realtor wants to move his office into a section of Massapequa that residents say doesn't welcome business.
They came in droves to say they'd like their residential neighborhood in Massapequa to stay residential, that there's no room on their block for a real estate office or any other business.
Why won't our portion that we have is it's a nice neighborhood, we have a shore area, and it's residential. Why ruin it? It doesn't benefit the people. It only benefits a small group that opens the business. The people suffer.
Morningstar Realty is a lone star among this constellation of homes on Merrick Boulevard. The business has been operating in this residentially zoned area for more than a year. Being slapped with a violation by the town of Oyster Bay didn't discourage the owners of Morningstar. They turned around and demanded the area be rezoned for business too.
We're not big at all. There's only 4 full-timers and maybe 3 or 4 part-timers, and they're not ever there at the same time. And I wish I was bigger than I am, but I'm not.
But that's not the point, say civic leaders who cherish the stretch of land known as Biltmore Shores.
There is too much of strip zoning going on in the area, and we don't want to ruin the beautiful area that we have, and we'd like to keep it the way it is.
Some residents say the real estate office is increasing traffic, but because Morningstar's staff is small, it says it doesn't generate much traffic. The real problem, then, doesn't seem to be Morningstar itself. Instead, residents fear the copycat effect. Say okay to one business, and others will follow. But this matter could end with an ironic twist. A real estate sales office putting up a for sale sign in its own front yard. In Oyster Bay, I'm Beverly Cohen, News 12, Long Island.
Coming up on News 12, the Czechoslovakia Communist Party bows to opposition party demands. And today, the U.S. Supreme Court is reviewing 2 different Midwestern laws that would require parents be notified if their children planned on having an abortion. Well, Long Island, what do you think? Should kids have to tell their parents? We're asking, and here's what you're saying.
My name is Carol Whitman, and I'm from Huntington, and I definitely think that they should tell their parents. There's no question. I don't think a child that's that young can handle something like that by themselves.
My name is Maziers. I live in West Babylon, and I don't think that children should be faced with having to make that decision. I don't think that they're mature enough, most. So I believe parents should have some say in it, yes.
Joe Cairo, I'm from East Islip, New York, and I think everybody should have their own right to their own opinion, and they should have to tell their parents and what they feel about the abortion and stuff like that.
They should be required to get their parents' permission?
Yes.
When your car's down and out, when your engine
takes care. Don't settle for less. You can run with the best, 'cause Precision Tune is there.
For the Precision Tune location nearest you, call 482-TUNE. That's 482-TUNE.
Run with precision. Run with the best.
Wholesale Tire Company knows what comes between you and the road is important. They'll prove to you that driving on Michelin's is affordable.
You know what impressed me? Michelin's all-season radio. It's called the XA4.
Whether it's a Ferrari or a Ford, WTC's trained technicians will find the right Michelin for you.
Believe me, only Michelin radios are going between us and this road.
Stop into any WTC Auto Center for the lowest prices and best selection of Michelin's on Long Island.
Saturday, December 2nd at 5:30, the event that brings a smile to the faces of young and old alike. The lighting of Long Island's Christmas tree, live from EAB Plaza in Uniondale. This year, thrill to the enchantment of the season with Peter Pan, Mickey Mouse, and New York Islander great Bobby Nystrom. The music, the glitter, and of course Santa Claus himself come home to you live, December 2nd at 5:30 on Long Island's news channel, News 12 Long Island. Brought to you by Lilco, working harder than ever to save you money.
A potentially explosive hearing before a federal grand jury in Atlanta tomorrow. The jurors are going to listen to charges that parts used on 3 space shuttles after the Challenger disaster were not properly inspected. Now, if it's true, it's also raising speculation about what might have happened with the Challenger itself. In that explosion, 7 astronauts were killed. A Thiokol Corporation engineer, Dan Joes, says that Challenger and the last 3 shuttles may have operated with up to half of their data being inaccurate.
The Supreme Court is getting ready to hear still another abortion issue. This time, laws in Ohio and Minnesota requiring a minor to tell parents they're planning to have an abortion. As Mullen Jennings reports from Washington, the opposing sides of the issue are already squaring off.
Marched on Washington, they've demonstrated at the White House. Today, supporters on both sides of the abortion issue take their case to the U.S. Supreme Court. At issue are 2 state laws, one from Ohio, one from Minnesota, requiring minors to tell their parents if they plan to have an abortion.
To encourage communication in the hopes that the minor will make a more informed decision, in the hopes that parents will help minors through this very difficult time.
Statistics show that only 25% of pregnant teenagers tell their parents voluntarily about abortion plans. And pro-choice organizations say that's the point. They say a lot of minors are justifiably afraid of telling their parents.
It's not about loving and caring families. It's about families where girls would be, the teenage girls who would be pregnant would be abused or punished or abandoned.
Minnesota law provides for minors to notify a judge rather than their parents if they're afraid of abuse. The justices must decide whether that judicial bypass system and parental notification are constitutional. Mullen Jennings in Washington.
Czechoslovakia's communist-dominated parliament meets today to consider ending its monopoly on power. It follows yesterday's meeting with reform leaders in which the communist leadership finally admitted they have to share their leadership. There's also been a pause in the mass people's demonstrations, which forced the decision in Czechoslovakia. And the East German communist regime says it advocates closer cooperation between East and West Germany, but doesn't want any part of a reunified Germany. Communist Party leader Egon Krenz saying West German calls for reunification would renew fears of a Nazi-era Germany. The reunification theme, though, is expected to be a top item in Krenz's talks with West German Chancellor Helmut Kohl.
Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev is in Italy for unprecedented talks with Pope John Paul. Reports abound that the Pope will propose formalizing diplomatic relations with the Soviet Union. Ever the diplomat, Gorbachev says Christian values are human values and are the same as socialist values. That could be interpreted as saying he's interested in diplomatic relations with the Vatican. After his meeting with the Pope, Gorbachev will talk to President Bush in the Summit on the Sea this weekend in the Mediterranean. The president has gone out of his way to say he will not discuss arms reduction of any kind with the Soviet leader.
Here at home, former Republican State Senator John Dunn of Garden City reportedly is the man chosen by President Bush as Assistant Attorney General for Human Rights. Now, the nomination won't be formally announced until the FBI completes a background clearance on Dunn. He may have a couple of problems, though. He belongs to the male-only Garden City Golf Club. Another of his clubs in Albany only started admitting women last year. But former State Senator Dunn says he hasn't heard from either the Justice Department or the White House about the appointment to the Justice Department.
Chicago doctors say 21-month-old Alyssa Smith is doing well after additional surgery following a live donor liver transplant, the first ever. Alyssa had more surgery to stop internal bleeding. Her donor mother is also reported doing well. The surgeons will know in about 5 days if the infant is healing properly, and in 7 days whether her system is rejecting the organ. Good news. Yeah. Still ahead on News 12, we'll have part 3 of our Focus 12 series on Long Island taxes as we turn our attention to the school tax problem.
And in our consumer report for this Wednesday, Julie Kessler stops by with some letter-perfect tips on how you should do holiday shopping by mail. We'll have that after an updated look at Long Island's roads.
It's loud, it's soft, it's exciting. It's the Metropolitan. There's nothing like it on Long Island. Gourmet food and chic elegance that will make your party memorable. It's a jewel, friendly, elegant, and a great place to go when you want something special. Join us for the best New Year's Eve on Long Island at the Metropolitan.
I received a terrific invitation, so I wanted to give a terrific gift. I found it at the limited edition.
Something wonderful happens when you give a gift from the limited edition. Whether it's Yadro, Swarovski, Lenox, Department 56, or Hummel, the limited edition in Merrick has more gifts and collectibles than anyone.
When I realized the anniversary was coming, I got going to the limited edition and found these wonderful gifts.
So when that special occasion arises, I go right to the limited edition.
Sunday, free Yadro gift with Yadro purchase.
Friedman Jewelers. Nobody brings two people together quite like we do. The look of love. You saw it when you proposed. She smiled back with a brilliance matched only by the diamond on her finger. Diamond engagement rings from Friedman's in the setting and style she'll love forever at a price you can afford. An engagement ring from Friedman Jewelers, guaranteed to make the sun shine through.
Look who's back in his old neighborhood pitching for Monahan Ford.
Hi, I'm Whitey Ford, and I want you to know you'll always get a great deal from my friends at Monahan Ford.
That's right, Whitey, and nobody beats Monahan for great selection and low prices on the new 1990 line, like the stylish Thunderbird, the popular Ford Taurus, the Sporty Probe, and all your other favorite Ford models.
So for a great deal on the new 1990s, come to Monahan Ford and get fortified.
If you could say anything to the public officials, the elected officials, what would you say about taxes?
So you got to try to lower those taxes to let people live on Long Island.
The elderly can't afford Long Island anymore, so they get stuck moving to places like Florida.
I don't know what we're going to do because all the children are moving in and out. They can't even get a place. They gotta cut them.
The Long Island Tax Crunch Town Meeting, 8 p.m. November 30th on News 12. Brought to you in part by the Roslyn Savings Bank.
As we've seen, taxes dominate Long Island headlines. Rising school taxes in particular have prompted widespread protests. Now, school taxes comprise about 2/3 of your property tax bill. In our Focus 12 report called Through the Roof, we examine Part 3, the school tax dilemma, from all sides. With 126 school districts, angry homeowners, and politicians all fighting it out, deciding just how to solve our school tax problems is turning out to be a costly lesson.
Armed with homemade pickets, the battle cry was the same throughout Long Island last spring. Parents, senior citizens, young couples by the thousands all declared war on school taxes.
The school budgets keep going up and up and up. And the children, the number of children keeps going down and down and down. We can't understand why every year they come back for 10, 12, 14% increases in taxes.
This is the only budget they really have an opportunity to vote on.
So if they feel the real property tax is too high, as most of us do, a lot of people will go out and vote down the school budget, feeling that that's the one way they can express themselves.
By September, 23 districts were on austerity. It was a victory for leaders of the tax revolt movement, but only in principle, because on austerity, taxes still went up. Long Island school taxes are among the highest in the country. No wonder so many taxpayers voted no this year. But a defeated budget doesn't guarantee lower taxes. In fact, in most cases, a school district on austerity will still require a tax hike. That's the law. Most of the money in a school's budget is spent on salaries. In fact, about 75% of a budget is comprised of salaries and health benefits, and yet on austerity, none of that changes. Neither do the maintenance costs, supplies, utilities, or insurance. When a budget is rejected, most of a school's spending remains intact. What does get cut out? Under a state law, it can only be school bus transportation, sports, and extracurricular activities. And these items, believe it or not, make up just about 5% of an average budget. By November, taxpayers in many districts tired of the inconvenience of doing without buses, and so most of them voted to restore their budgets. While many felt they had lost the battle, their cries were heard loud and clear, from schools to Albany and back again.
The enrollment has declined, and yet the number of teachers is almost the same as it was 15 years ago when you had twice as many children in the district. It's not necessarily doing anything to enhance the education. It's just a very costly system.
Pamela Wright is president of the Nassau Suffolk School Boards Association. She argues fewer students doesn't necessarily mean lower costs.
Even with a declining enrollment, our basic costs remain the same.
She compares schools today to households when kids eventually leave home.
Their costs for heating their home, their costs for their telephone, all of their utilities, their mortgage costs, those costs are still the same. And that's the same thing that we have in schools.
The tax revolt has sparked a volley of finger-pointing and accusations, each group blaming the other for the tax problem.
I think the root of the problem is, to a large extent, we pay school district administrators an awful lot of money. And there's a whole built-in hierarchy of staff that exists. I think you could trim there without any great depreciation in the quality of the educational system.
While politicians complain schools are wasting money, school leaders complain the problem is the state, requiring costly mandates ranging from asbestos removal to special education programs, costing them millions.
I think it's unfair when they feel that remove the asbestos, whatever it may be, if there's not additional dollars, then it has to come from the local dollar.
One of the more controversial proposals to save tax dollars is consolidation of school districts.
When you historically look at districts in the past that have consolidated, that have joined together, there is no tremendous cost savings. You're still servicing the same number of students.
A less radical alternative is sharing school services.
When they purchase paper clips, textbooks, paper, you're dealing with large volumes here. Now, why can't a half-dozen school districts join together, form a consortium? You know the price has to be less because it's going to be a larger quantity and, frankly, a much better contract for someone.
Few experts can agree on any method to lower taxes, and that's obviously part of the problem. It is clear, though, that changes must happen now. The battlefields remain strewn with casualties, senior citizens, young couples, and, of course, the kids. They ultimately pay the biggest price.
Well, after speaking with all sides in this issue, it seems that all we really need to do is get everyone together, sit them down, and hammer out some sort of a deal or compromise. But that doesn't seem likely to happen. Each side, it seems at this point, so busy explaining what's wrong with the other, it's not going to be anytime soon. Seeing an end to school tax problems is, I think, a long ways away.
Boy, it certainly is frustrating. It doesn't seem like we've got a solution not around the corner soon enough.
No, you've got the aid to education formula from Albany, and that's not helping either. That is a real mess that's got to be sorted out. Perhaps another special.
All right, we'll keep you posted. Well, talk about spending money someplace else. Only 26 days left till Christmas. My goodness. A lot of people are rushing off to get the right gift right now.
And as the crowds get worse, many shoppers are opting to shop by catalog. Consumer editor Julie Kessler is here with some timely tips. Thanks for coming in. Julie, to tell us, because I want to know. I'm first on your list.
Yeah, you know, catalog shopping is not as bad as it's made out to be. There are some good things about it, too. Shopping by catalog has its advantages. Browse through at your leisure. Pick some of the best names in retailing. There's no mad crowds. And there's often unusual or different merchandise which may be hard to find elsewhere. But to be a successful catalog shopper, experts advise consumers to follow some simple but important rules. Read the shipping, return, and refund policies carefully. Although merchandise is almost always returnable if you're not satisfied, the return times vary from a week to 30 days. Sometimes, though not often, the vendor may not give you your money back, but may offer an exchange or credit instead. When ordering, follow instructions carefully. Sometimes the vendor may reserve the right to substitute another similar item of equal value if the original is sold out. Make sure you can live with this substitution. If not, clearly write on your order, no substitutions. Check and allow for sales tax, shipping, and handling charges, and check how the item will be shipped. Most items are shipped by UPS or through the mail, but some large or bulky items are trucked and may require special instructions. When the delivery is expected, make arrangements to accept it. During the holiday, things are rushed, and you may have to go and pick it up yourself. Use common sense rules when using credit cards. Limit their use when charging merchandise over the phone. If the item you ordered has to be returned, follow instructions carefully and promptly. And don't throw away the catalog after you order. Save it till you've received your order. Make a copy of the order and keep it in a safe place in case you have to refer to it later. Above all, save the receipt and check it against your warranty claims. Now, if you're not sure about the policies of the catalog vendor, don't take chances. Call them up. Although mistakes do happen, simple precautions can save a lot of time and disappointment afterwards. And Roma and Carol, I just want to point out all the pictures that you saw in that piece are items that are under $100. So you don't have to spend a fortune either.
Boy, that's great. And I told you, I did my initial Christmas shopping this year out of the catalogs, and it really saved me time.
Right.
Good. All right, Julie, thanks so much.
Okay.
Good advice again. Still ahead on News 12, button up your overcoats, baby, because it is a long, cold spell we're into. Meteorologist Joe Chaffee coming up with details.
And Stan Dworkin is in our cooking spot with a very seasonal dish. That's next.
Raw cranberry relish is delicious and nutritious. I'll show you how coming up in the kitchen.
Here's a terrific gift that's just right for every golfer in your family and just in time for the holidays. It's the amazing new CAD-Ease golf ball and golf tee dispenser. CAD-Ease hooks easily and conveniently onto any golf bag or cart, and it stays there. CAD-Ease is so easy to use. Just touch the lever and a fresh ball drops into your hand. No more searching for your old waterhole ball or your favorite putting or distance ball. And CAD-Ease is made in the USA, a virtually indestructible space-age Lexan. Order CAD-Ease now and you'll get a dozen high-score long-distance golf balls free, a $13 value. And if you call 1-800-632-4441 within the next 10 minutes, we'll also give you 100 golf tees absolutely free. That's right, you get the CAD-Ease dispenser, a dozen free high-score golf balls, and 100 free golf tees, all for the great low price of just $19.95. Order CAD-Ease now for every golfer in your family. It's a great holiday gift idea. Guaranteed delivery before the holidays. Visa and Master credit cards accepted.
The first of the New World to greet this year's Christmas is Canada, my homeland. And her celebrations are as varied as the land itself. Far in the north, the Inuit or Eskimo feast on venison and dance their folklore. East in Nova Scotia, from the white-walled cottages on Christmas Island, echo the ancient carols of Brittany. To enrich their parish, folks from Newfoundland fish for the church. In British Columbia, as wine-soaked Yule logs burn and crackle, groups in festive costumes sing out for Christmas, while Quebec, la belle province, with its wealth of song, resounds Joyeux Noël. And so all races together that fill her vast provinces and give to Canada its rich and unique personality celebrate with her a happy, happy Christmas.
Stand by me. So darling, darling.
Association. Please call our helpline. We're here to stand by you.
Earlier this hour, we told you about the outcome of the Suffolk County battle as the county legislature overrode County Executive Pat Halpin's veto of their amendments to his 1990 budget proposal.
All right, it all sounds very complicated, but the bottom line is the vote means $39 million less in spending next year for Suffolk County. County Executive Halpin says it's also going to mean a reduction in county services. We've got Pat Halpin with us right now from Hop Hog, and he's going to tell us exactly what we can expect. Welcome to News 12, Mr. Halpin, again.
Thank you, Carol.
What's the bottom line here? If you cut $39 million in spending, are we going to be cutting significant services? Are we going to feel a real pinch in Suffolk?
Well, the important thing is that the taxpayers are going to be getting tax relief from the county portion of their tax bill. A tax cut of about $100, that's good. But we're going to have less money to do the variety of things that the county is involved in.
Specifically, where would we see cuts in county services or in county jobs?
Well, let me talk specifically about one cut that was restored that I was very concerned about. The legislature initially cut $8 million out of the police budget. They restored the funding by passing an amendment that I sponsored that put that money back into the police department. So the police services will not be cut. We will have police protection at the levels we presently have it, and we'll be trying to enhance it in 1990. As far as the other areas are concerned, we're going to be assessing, precisely what areas will be impacted, and it's really too soon to say. What I am concerned about, though, is that the legislature has cut certain equipment accounts and not properly funded salary settlements that we'll have in 1990, and that could have an effect on county services.
Mr. Halpin, besides the police services, what other essential services are going to be distressing you the most that look earmarked for cuts now?
Well, as I said, police services will not be cut because the legislature approved my amendment restoring $8 million to the police budget. Police services will be intact. There'll be no impact on crossing guards, and police protection, which is a top priority of mine, will be enhanced in 1990. As far as the other areas are concerned, it's really too soon to say. They didn't finish until late yesterday afternoon. I'll be meeting with my senior staff and my department heads to review the situation. But the legislators have said that they think that we should not be spending as much as I had initially proposed, and that was a decision that they made, and I'm going to do my best to carry out their will in the 1990 budget. This is a budget that is a very, very tight budget, but it's one that I'm going to manage to the best of my ability.
Mr. Halpin, $39 million in cuts, though. I mean, you've got to have some kind of an idea. You've been talking about this for a long time. The legislature's been saying all along they were going to slash $41 million in spending. So you must have had some idea up until this point what might have to go. Is there a particular chunk of money, a particular service? Are there a certain group of county employees that should be worried right now? You've got to have some more specific idea, I would think, by now.
Carol, the reason why I can't be specific is that there are a number of factors that we have to take a look at. First of all, what will the sales tax projections be for 1990? I think the legislature has overestimated those figures. So has the legislature's Budget Review Office. They've confirmed that as well. So we're going to have to determine to what extent sales tax revenues are overestimated. The other big question mark is whether or not they're going to give our county employees pay raises that have been negotiated. If they impose a salary settlement less than what's been negotiated, then that minimizes the pain. So there are some factors that are really beyond our control right now, but as we get closer to 1990, we'll be doing everything we can to guarantee that we have a balanced budget. Look, it's important that we reduce taxes. It's also important that we maintain essential services like police protection and have a balanced budget. I'm going to do my best to make sure that that happens.
All right. Okay, thanks a lot to Suffolk County Executive Pat Halpin.
All right, we'll be hearing
Good luck
a lot more about that yet to come. We'll keep you posted on it because the ideas certainly will have to become more formal in very short order. Well, you are here now. You have made a promise to us.
I did?
Yes.
What was that?
Your promise was that you would talk about
these things.
You would talk about snow or no snow.
You know, I find, by the way, that the general attitude is after the Thanksgiving snow. We mentioned this yesterday, but a lot of people are looking forward to it, I think, if we get another snow event.
Yeah, but you see, they are the people who didn't have to drive last Thursday morning and all of that, not us.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. But we got time yet. Still a couple of days away. Saturday. If anything's going to happen, it'll be on the weekend. And folks, as we've mentioned from time to time, it's probably the best contrary indicator that everybody is talking about it, which probably means it won't happen. But nonetheless, we'll explain what's going on. Record high 66 and 57, and record low on this date 17 in 1967. But what speaks of just how cold this has been for the latter part of November, the normal high should be about 47. The normal low temperature is 33, and we're below that for daytime temperatures. That is unusually cold for this time of year. Sunset today at 4:29 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow morning just a shade under 7 o'clock. Here's the full U.S. satellite view. You'll notice, by the way, a very active subtropical jet stream here, the southern branch, lots of clouds running from the Pacific tropics across Texas, the Gulf states, and then out east across the Atlantic. There's the tropical depression that's in the northwest Caribbean. We've got cold, dry air covering the northern half of the United States. Now, here's what's going to happen. First, the lead disturbance. This is not what we're referring to at first, but there's a lead disturbance that will come through tomorrow. There could be a little period of light snow. Shouldn't amount to anything more than that unless we get a last-minute surprise. But of more importance is the fact that the mean upper air flow over the next 48 to 84 hours will be the tendency for a strong ridge to build in the west and a very deep trough of low pressure in the east. And with the disturbance now in the Gulf of Alaska forecast to dive southeastward, there, at least it appears to be, the ingredients here for some sort of storm development along the east coast come Saturday time, which we'll deal with tomorrow again on Friday when we zero in closer. But we'll see what happens. Keep your fingers crossed if you want it. Keep your fingers crossed if you don't want it. Here's your forecast for the rest of this day. A cold one, partial sunshine, some clouds, as you see here. Very pretty view when you have these kind of high clouds streaking by, masking the sunshine through the bare trees. Mid-30s, but chills in the teens all day. Clear to start, a cloudy finish tonight and cold, mid-20s. Tomorrow there could be a little bit of snow. We just went for some patchy snow. Most likely not much will happen. In cases like this that we'll have tomorrow, most of the time we don't get anything, but just to cover for a last-minute surprise. And mid-30s, and then colder for Friday, and then we'll set up to see what happens this weekend.
Think we'll have any reason to be concerned about the roads tomorrow at any point?
I doubt it. I mentioned for patchy snow just in case it's something a little more impressive than what's shown now, because I've seen us get surprises like this before, but I'm not anticipating anything too serious.
Thanks,
Infamous last words.
Thanks a lot, Joe. Well, it should be cold in Hop Hog, but that doesn't matter for about 100 people today because they're taking the pledge and becoming American citizens in Hop Hog. Boy, that's wonderful. Judge Leonard Wexler administering the oaths at Federal District Court in Hop Hog, and that's where we have News 12's Susan Jellig. Susan, what a proud day for these people.
Yeah, that oath is just minutes away, and with me are two of the people who will be taking that oath. First of all, we're talking to Raul Khan. Where are you from, Raul?
I'm from Pakistan.
Hey, tell me, how long have you been in America?
Since 1971.
How do you feel about becoming an American citizen?
Fantastic.
Okay. What do you do? Are you in business here?
Yeah, I own a Central Mortgage Corporation. I'm in a mortgage business.
What made you decide to become a citizen?
Well, I live here. I've been living here 19 years, so I wanted to be part of the society and be a loyal citizen to the country.
Looking forward to it?
Oh, definitely.
Is your family proud of today?
Yes, they're very proud. My wife is an American citizen, born citizen, and I have a son who's 8 years old, so they're very happy.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now let's move over here to Shika. Give us your name again.
Shika Nayar.
Shika Nayar. And where are you from?
I'm from India.
How long have you been in America?
I've been here since 1969, almost 20 years this month.
And how old were you when you came here?
4 years old.
So
Long time ago.
I guess you don't really remember a whole lot about life in India.
No, not really. I went back about 13 years for a visit, but I was very young. So hopefully I'll be going back for a visit soon.
How do you feel about becoming a U.S. citizen?
Excited. Excited, yeah. I mean, I've been here all my life. I've been educated here. I've been working here. So I'd like to start voting also.
Well, great. Congratulations. And we'll have more on the oath and the many people who took it later on. Susan Jellig, live in Hop Hog for News 12 Long Island. Back to the studio.
All right, Susan, thanks so much. And it's something that we all take for granted, at least so many of us. And these folks will be spending the holidays as Americans. Wow. Speaking of the holidays, 'tis the season for cranberries and the many delicious ways you can prepare them. In walks Stan Dworkin into the cooking spot with a recipe you're sure to relish.
It does not have to be Thanksgiving time to eat cranberry relish. It does, however, have to be this time of year because cranberries are on the market fresh only now. This is a raw cranberry relish made with pecans and navel orange that's got the skin left on, and raisins as well. Let's start by taking half a cup of pecans, putting them in the food processor, and chopping them coarsely. Once those are chopped, we're going to add the cranberries, and we're going to continue chopping. We don't want these mush. We want them coarsely chopped. Once the cranberries are ground coarsely, we're just going to dump them and the nuts into a large mixing bowl. Now we'll reassemble the processor, and we'll process the oranges. Remember, these have been washed and they've had the ends cut off, but the skins are on. Now, that's all it takes. These are now done, and they go into the bowl as well. Let's scrape everything out. Just one shot. Now, half a cup of raisins, a quarter of a cup of honey. That's all the sweetener it gets. If you were making this with sugar, probably it would require more. We mix it thoroughly and leave it in the refrigerator to soak up overnight. Well, that's going to take a good deal more mixing before it's ready to go, but you get the idea. Let the raisins plump. That's all it is. Cranberry relish, this makes about 1.5 quarts, and it is delicious. Until next time, in the kitchen, Stan Dworkin, News 12 Long Island.
And when we return, the outrageous and colorful author of Chili Dogs Always Bark at Night. Did I say that right?
You sure did. He's an interesting fellow, and he comes your way when we come back, so stay with us.
Great skiing starts at Sundown Ski and Sports, where you'll find the latest ski equipment and clothing for your family, like this head ski package with Reichley boots, Tyrolia bindings and poles, and lifetime free service for only $299. Choose from a wide selection of the latest Obermeyer ski wear. So come to the friendliest ski shop on Long Island, Sundown Ski and Sports. It's the ski store that makes skiing what it ought to be, a family affair, and much more.
Sundown Ski and Sports makes your skiing great.
It's Super Cheap John to the rescue, saving all of Long Island from high prices this Christmas.
Hey, don't run around, because only I've got the largest selection of everything for Christmas at my Better Than Bargain everyday super cheap prices. Tons and tons of quality merchandise, like toys, Christmas wrap, ribbons, bows, decorations, cards, ornaments, stocking stuffers, giftware, plus cheap film and photo processing, and lots more.
Yes, Super Cheap John, with everything you need for Christmas super cheap.
So don't wait. Stock up for Christmas today at any of my convenient locations where every day's a sale day. See you there.
You know, it's not every day you come across a book called Chili Dogs Always Bark at Night, spelled D-A-W-G, by the way. And you know, anyone who titles such a book deserves some serious attention.
Serious attention of some kind. We're not sure which kind of. That person, by the way, is humorist and syndicated columnist Louis Grizzard. Chili Dogs is Grizzard's 11th book. Already it has hit the New York Times bestseller list, and he is with us now live from Atlanta, Georgia. And if they think, Louis Grizzard, that Chili Dogs is a weird name, wait till they hear some of your others. When my love returns from the ladies' room, will I be too old to care? And Elvis is dead, and I don't feel so good myself. Wherever do you get these titles?
Well, from different places. I steal a lot of them. Which is how I get most of my material. I've always felt this way about material. If I steal from you, it's research. If you steal from me, it's plagiarism. But listen, you did a pretty good job with the dogs there. We spell it D-A-W-G because we feel like that's the way God wants it to be spelled. We really referring to the University of Georgia Bulldogs. But the chili dogs come from a wonderful restaurant here in Atlanta called the Varsity that have the best chili dogs on earth. But the warning here is never go into the Varsity at midnight and eat 9 chili dogs, because about 4 the next morning, those chili dogs will wake up and begin to bark at you, and all the Malocs on this earth will not make them hush.
You must have pressure to be very timely with your 11 books out. You talk about Oliver North and Edwin Meese, and they're yesterday's news pretty much these days. What headlines today catch your eye?
Well, I think one of the most interesting that happened recently was somebody broke into the Planned Parenthood place at Grady Hospital here in Atlanta. Now, I'm not making this up, and stole 16,000 condoms. Now, that's got to get your attention. I began to think, you know, what do you do with 16,000 condoms? And I always try to look at the bright side of things. I figure this guy, whoever has the 16,000 condoms, is going to go all over this country and give people condoms to help fight the spread of AIDS. And he will be known forever as Johnny Condom Seed.
You, Lewis, are described as a folksy sort of a fellow, a William Faulkner type, but after reading some of your book, I have to wonder whether or not you've ever been compared either to Garrison Keillor or Tom Bodett of Motel 6.
Well, I don't know. I've been compared to a lot of people, but none of them very nice, not anybody that good, I don't think. Tom Bodett, I think, is one of the great humorists of our time. I mean, he's the only guy in the world that can make commercials for a bad motel chain and make it funny. I wouldn't stay at a Hotel 6, but I still enjoy listening to him anyway. And I stay at a Motel 4, and it's even worse.
In your book, you talk about George Bush's plea for a kinder, gentler nation. You yourself have vowed to be kinder and gentler in 1989. How's that going?
Well, it's going pretty good. I'm falling back. One of the things I vowed to do is not to hate cats anymore or fling them against walls when I see them. And I've been doing pretty good with that. I don't like cats. Cats are not like dogs. You call a dog and he'll come and lick your hand. You call a cat and the cat just looks at you like you're crazy. I ain't coming over there. What are you, nuts? But I've tried to be nice to people. For instance, people who get into the express lane with more than 12 items, I've always felt they should be drug off and shot somewhere. As I do people who get in the left lane of the interstate and go 35 miles an hour. What I plan to do is have 2 machine gun turrets put in under the headlights of my car, and I get behind those people and gun them down right off the freeway.
All right, Louis Gazard, you are the man behind remarkable books like Chili Dogs Always Bark at Night.
Well, let me mention one thing. I don't know if you've heard about this.
You got about 10 seconds to do it.
Well, I don't think I can do it in 10 seconds, but I certainly enjoyed talking to you, and you do dogs real well.
We've been practicing. It's just a great book. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And you can get more on Louis Gazard's look at the world, dating and politics and puppies by just taking another look at this. What a great holiday book. Chili Dogs Always Bark at Night. My goodness.
There's a Christmas present under $100 for you.
You know, it's been a tough season for the Islanders over at the Coliseum, but last night the Ice there finally played host to a winning performance. Peter Pan coming to town to head up an all-star Disney show along with a few of his friends. And while the Isles were away, Peter and company played, much to the delight of the crowd. Of course, what would a Disney show be without Mickey, Minnie, and all their buddies? For a bunch of cartoon characters, these guys sure know their way round a rink. Walt Disney's World on Ice, by the way, at the Coliseum through December 3rd.
Well, that is it for us. Thank you all for joining us and watching us today. I'm Roma Torrey in for Lee Tyrell.
And I'm Carol Silva. Stay with us. We've got a lot more news ahead, so don't go away.